rise and shine. It's a brand new day with Mo and News. It's time to have your say. She's got the scoop, the stories, all the latest trends. Mo's got the news, let's hear it. My dear friends, from politics to showbiz, no story's too small. Mo covers it all. She's got the inside call, her voice so smooth, like honey in the summer sun. With Mo on the mic, you know the news is always fun. Mornings with Mo, the best newsy news in the world. With her style so classic and her stories unfurled, from morning till night, she's got us in the know. Turn on your radio, let Mo's newsy news flow.
Good morning, everyone. It is the 30th of October. It is 2024, and we all have nearly survived October. If you have not gotten candy, I would suggest get candy because, tomorrow is the night where you should have candy if you are, at home. Wolfram, thank you for doing your Modly Mod stuff. Good morning, Tammy. Welcome, we Gopshite. Great name. Good morning, beautiful Bernice. And Photo Lady 12, Jedi Jess. Thank you for your Modly Mod duties as well. Hello, Sunshine. Gayla. If I mispronounce anyone's names, I am terrible at reading, so means that reading news is the greatest idea ever. Welcome, Christine and Swifty. And Observation Station, good morning. So our first story in U.S. Marshals train in Delphi. A shocking video shows an Arizona grandma falsely arrested by U.S. Marshals at Force Multiplier Point. Quote, "It felt like I was being kidnapped." Well, law enforcement is batting 1,000 between Canton, Delphi, and this thing. Shocking footage shows U.S. Marshals aggressively arresting an Arizona woman who they thought skipped out on probation 25 years ago, but they got the wrong person and instead pulled their force multipliers out on a grandmother who had never even heard of the suspect. "I truly felt like I was being kidnapped," 66-year-old Penny McCarthy told ABC 15 after the outlet obtained body cam footage of the arrest. "I'm so disappointed in my government, it's not funny." McCarthy was going about her day at home outside of Phoenix on March 5th when a van full of people claiming to be U.S. Marshals pulled up and pointed heavy, long-style force multipliers and put them in her face, telling her she was under arrest. And you never have your good tank top on when, the U.S. Marshals come to arrest you for something you didn't do. An astonished McCarthy asked them to verify that they had gotten the right person, pleading with them to just tell me who I am, but officers refused and instead yelled at her to give herself up. "Turn away, turn around, turn away, we'll discuss later, turn away, you're gonna get hit," the officers roared at her. "Can you prove you're the police?" McCarthy asked, but the officers refused to even show any identification or warrant until she allowed herself to be cuffed, the footage showed. "You see that we're the police," officers instead replied. "How can I see that?" she responded. "If you turn around again, you're going to get tased," an officer warned. So this poor lady is out there. She has nothing on her. She looks like she was getting ready to go garden or whatever one does in Arizona. And they have, long style force multipliers at her. Wonderful. Eventually, McCarthy allowed the officers to detain her, and they insisted she was a 70-year-old Oklahoma woman named Carol Ann Rozak, who skipped out on her probation in 1999 after being jailed for a series of nonviolent crimes. So the person they were trying to find was jailed for a series of nonviolent crimes. They go out there like she's freaking Al Capone. Good idea. Even though McCarthy denied being Rozak, she said she could prove it. The U.S. Marshals did not allow her to and instead took her into custody. Quote, "They did nothing but treat me like crap and lie to me," McCarthy told ABC 15. She was thrown in federal prison for a night, but was sprung the next day after prosecutors presented little evidence beyond Facebook posts that a probation office in Oklahoma thought she indicated she was really Rozak living under an alias. Well, considering she jumped out on probation, you'd think you'd have this Rozak woman's, fingerprints, and this would be fairly easy. But no, apparently they did go to the Delphi Canton School of Policery. Her case was dismissed shortly after she was released from prison. U.S. Marshals in Oklahoma later said a fingerprinting glitch matched McCarthy to Rosak, and a month after the arrest confirmed that McCarthy was not their suspect. The agency previously told ABC 15 it was continuing to, quote, "conduct a thorough review of the arrest and the officer's actions." Well, that's like Sarah Boone, you know, finding herself not guilty in her own mind. Requests for comments from the Post were not answered by the time of publication. McCarthy said she has been left traumatized by the event, even unwilling to go out into her own front yard without somebody she knows nearby. The U.S. Marshals are above the law, and that's what it says to me, and the United States government allows that to happen, she lamented. I smell a lawsuit coming on, and unfortunately, the taxpayers are going to have to take care of it, not the, general police officers and the organization that, failed to do its due diligence. Oh, for the love of Cheetos, stop being a dingus, computer. A masked force multiplier person opened fire and threw furniture off a balcony at the Four Seasons Hotel in a mid Atlanta or in Midtown Atlanta, uh, making a chaotic scene for everyone. So I hope if any of you guys were in the Atlanta area, you are okay. As you guys know, I don't read these articles generally before I, read them with you. So hopefully no one was hurt. A masked suspect who opened fire at the Four Seasons in Midtown Atlanta was a full-time resident of the hotel and had suffered a mental breakdown when he sparked lockdowns at the $600 a night celebrity hotspot. J. Stevens Berger, let's see here, 70 years old, was taken into custody around 4:30 p.m. Thursday or Tuesday after spraying bullets from his 33rd floor balcony and hurling furniture into the street below, WSB TV reported. Berger, who lives in the residential section of the Four Seasons, was not staying in the main hotel, had accosted an employee just after 10 a.m., prompting police to respond over a mental health episode. And you can see, I guess, things just being hurled down on the street, and I'm glad it appears that no one got hurt by the falling debris, so that's really good. Oh, yeah, I get the dueling point, and this is where I have a hard time with the big questions because I can see a lot of different perspectives and how you would argue them. It just seems that to go after a person who, yes, skipped bail or skipped their probation on nonviolent offenses, to go in there like, she was El Chapo is a little weird to me. But I'm not a US Marshal. I've never had to deal with, dangerous people who want to, stay out of prison. So I also know that my perspective is skewed as to what they see, every day. At some point, the suspect brandished a force multiplier, and then someone then barricaded himself inside his room. Atlanta Police Chief Darren Sherbaum confirmed after the arrest. SWAT teams were deployed as Berger began shooting through his door, prompting an evacuation of surrounding floors. He began firing off his balcony into the surrounding city. A order was put in place for the nearby blocks. Footage taken by witnesses in the building across the street from the hotel captured Berger in an erratic rage, hurling furniture and random items off the balcony to the street below before reaching for a force multiplier and unloading it at random, nearly striking the filming bystanders. At one point, he even tossed the force multiplier from the balcony, but police said he was still heavily armed. Berger was believed to have had at least three force multipliers in the room with him, a pistol, a shotgun, and rifle, each of which he fired during the standoff. He also had several knives. At least one officer with the SWAT team was wounded. Okay, so I'm sorry, one person was hurt. Uh, and I hope he gets, this was in Atlanta, yes. Berger was seen raging with a bloody wound across his face when he was apprehended and carted off shackled into the back of an ambulance. He's being charged with aggravated assault, and I'm sure a number of other charges will be coming in, as the prosecutor looks at all the footage and everything. Unless there is a, legitimate mental health component to it, then I don't know how Atlanta deals with those kind of things. Well, next in the news, some guy I don't know but who's apparently famous, well, he screwed up on his parole. Tekashi 69 was thrown in jail after showing up to a New York court an hour late and allegedly testing positive for crystal. Now, I know he's a rapper who, like me, has Skittles hair, but that's about all I know about this man. I know you're going to be shocked, but if it's not Phil Collins, Stevie Nicks, Fleetwood Mac, Heart, or some other, random 80s bands, and of course Queen, I'm not too up to date on current music. Tekashi 69 was thrown behind bars for at least 2 weeks Tuesday for a slew of alleged violations, including testing positive for the crystal method acting drug, taking a trip to Las Vegas and showing up to court an hour late. Yeah, don't show up to court an hour late, especially if you're, also doing drugs, if you will, and not straight legal pharmaceuticals that are not allowed on probation. It's like in math class when I was younger. I suck at math, suck out loud at it. I would sit in the back and I would not make direct eye contact, but I would turn in my homework, as pitiful as it was, and I would, try to do all the things so the teacher wouldn't notice me and never asked me a question. Now, my teachers were mean and did not understand that my signal of not looking at them meant that I was not open to answer any questions. They were like, and come up to the little the little projector and show me how you got your answer. I'm like, I stopped understanding math when we added letters to it. Could I be excused? I'm a conscientious objector. Manhattan federal judge, Paul Engelmayer, ripped the traditionally rainbow-haired rapper, whose real name is Daniel Hernandez, for having a, quote, "full spectrum disregard for the law" and violating the terms of his supervised release. Well, Tekashi has been a free man since 2020 when he was released following a 2-year prison stint on charges including conspiracy to commit murder related to his ties to the Nine Trey Gangsta Bloods gang. He was due in court at 9:30 on Tuesday, but instead was an hour late, infuriating the judge who ordered his arrest. Quote, "I am not a bad person," Tekashi 28 said in a court during the afternoon hearing, noting that he'd flown into New York Monday night from Florida. Well, that you still have an alarm clock. I woke up late, prosecutor Jonathan Rebold told Engelmeyer that the inked up Gummo rapper had tested positive for crystal twice in the last 2 weeks and blew off a drug test despite having about 6 months left on his 5-year terms of supervised release. Tekashi was supposed to stay out of trouble as a part of that release. Lance Lazario, a lawyer for the alleged serial offender, claimed that it was simply a mix-up that his client had tested positive for crystal, since he takes a prescription drug, Adderall, that contains, component issues. Or basically, it will show up, and as long as you have a prescription, newer tests as a chronic pain patient, if I want to have any sort of narcotic pain relief, I have to do, the testing, and it'll come back as it came back as Adderall for me or Concerta, the generic. So I don't know, but tests that doctors use can kind of differentiate that. Now, prosecutors accused Tekashi of taking an unsanctioned trip to Las Vegas for a concert. Engelmeyer also brought up his many arrests since his release, including a bust in the Dominican Republic and an arrest in Florida for speeding at 136 miles per hour in a 65 mile per hour zone as part of what he called a pattern of flouting the law. The judge said Takashi showed a broader pattern of misbehavior and ordered him thrown behind bars until the next court hearing on November 12th, where they would discuss whether the musician would be set free. Tekashi has a withering list of legal woes. The embattled snitch was arrested in the Dominican Republic for allegedly assaulting his girlfriend, Yalin Masvidal, in January. He's also been busted for allegedly assaulting two music producers in the Dominican Republic and pled guilty in 2020 or 15 for using a 13-year-old in a sexual performance. What? Okay, Snake Island. You do not use a 13-year-old. Hell no to the no. That is a little child, little person. We do not expose them to grossness. Mini P. Diddy with Skittles hair. No, no, no. Now, Takashi's testimony in the Nine Trey Gangsta Bloods trial helped put away his former fellow gangbangers, including a gang leader who got a 17-year sentence on drug dealing and racketeering charges. The hip hop provocateur hatched a plea deal with feds that got him leniency, just 2 years in prison, in exchange for ratting out gang members. Now, while I might not be hip to the, rap game, if you will, uh, colloquially, I think we have a term about what snitches get. So, sir, you might want to, lay off the not street legal pharmaceuticals and keep your head on a swivel. Because I don't think, your fellow gang entrepreneurs take really kindly to you sending them to the clink for 17 years. But call me crazy. I don't know the guy. Mad props for his hair, though. Love Skittles hair. A groom goes viral after his sister reads hysterical proposal plans he wrote at age 9 during a wedding speech. This is going to be great because I can only imagine what my most feral youngest son would think about. Well, girls are weird and talk too much and are boring and don't play video games. So he's not really worried about getting a girlfriend because they talk a lot. I was told this last night, like, "No, I'm never getting a girlfriend. They talk a lot and they wanna talk about feelings and stuff, and I just wanna play video games." And I was like, "Okie dokie." Quote, "People were falling out of their chairs, dying, laughing, and one person peed themselves a little," Hope, Carew told People. When one woman found her brother's proposal plan that he had wrote when he was 9 years old, she decided to save them and read them out loud at his future wedding day. Hope Carew, 30, did just that. She shared a detailed proposal itinerary her brother, Griffin Carew, and it's so funny because my youngest, most feral's name is Griffin, uh, who 32, who wrote the list more than 20 years ago in front of him and his bride, Alyssa Cantor Carew, 31, and their 150 guests at their October 11th wedding in Monroe, New York. Quote, "In 2014, I was going through a box of childhood things that my dad kept for me at his house, and inside I found my brother's yearbook from 2002, 2003. My mom's house had actually burnt down about 2 years prior, and we lost a lot of stuff from my childhood, so I was just thrilled that my dad still had my brother's copy of the yearbook. So as I was flipping through the yearbook," she continued, "this random piece of folded loose leaf paper fell out, and I couldn't believe what I had found. My brother's a lefty, so his handwriting is very distinct, and I recognized it immediately as something he had written." She continued, It was so funny. I knew I had to hold on to it to read at his wedding someday. So I brought it back with me to college and held on to it ever since in preparation. After he got engaged, I looked for the letter where I had it stashed, and it had disappeared. My mom had just moved, and I had hidden it at her house. My mom and I spent the next 8 months going through every piece of paperwork we could find, and then right after I'd given up on ever finding it again, I checked the yearbook one more time, and there it was. At the wedding, Hope said, "Don't kill me," into the microphone before reading the scribbled lengthy plans uh, out loud. So let's see. We are 25, and I am a multi-billionaire who's madly in love with you. Part 1, Cincinnati to Cabo San Lucas, Hope began with her brother's three-part plan. It is midnight. I sneak you onto our private jet. You wake up while we're in the air, and I don't tell you where you are, but I kiss you and tell you I've taken care of everything. We get there, and I give you my credit card and tell you to do whatever you want to do, but be sure to be back at our hotel by 1 o'clock, Hope read on. When you get back, I'm not there, but the butlers escort you down to the beach where I'm waiting with a romantic blanket set up with wine. We drink a few glasses, then we begin to make out. The next day, we leave for another location on my yacht. Although Hope was only one-third of the way in, the wedding guests were already going wild and couldn't help but laugh at the hilariously detailed proposal plans. Lots of laughing and cheering and clapping, Hope recalls to people. People were falling out of their chairs, dying laughing, and one person, had a little bit of a bladder issue. My brother pretended to run away at one point, and that egged on the crowd even more. She continued to the crowd. Number 2, Cabo San Lucas to French Polynesia. On the yacht, we have a very romantic time. And then when we get there, I buy you a ton of pearls, then I buy you whatever you want, and I obey your every command. Well, hello. I like this idea. Although I would have changed it to Japan and we would have gone to the Sailor Moon store. At this point, the groom couldn't hide his embarrassment. My brother was cracking up at the whole thing and hugged me afterward, which was a slight relief because obviously what I read was super embarrassing, and if he didn't have such a good sense of humor, I never would have done it, but he's a Leo and he can take the heat. I'm a stand-up comedian and my family's really supportive of that, she added. So they're used to me embarrassing them on stage. Honestly, my brother was probably just relieved I wasn't telling more recent embarrassing stories about him. This will be me when my children get married. I have pictures, I have evidence, I have recipients. I will be saying all the things. She added that my sister-in-law was also in stitches. I had asked her permission to give a secret speech at the wedding, but couldn't give her any details about what it was, so she was mostly just shocked that I had managed to keep this a secret for so long. Hope then read the final part of the plans. Number 3, French Polynesia to Paris. Today we leave on our yacht, we do romantic stuff, then we land in Paris. I take you all around Paris in a Rolls Royce and buy you everything, and then I take you to the top of the Eiffel Tower and ask, "Will you marry me?" With a $130 million ring. You say yes, we go back to our hotel and have lots of romance. Commenters on TikTok adored how much of a romantic Griffin was at such a young age. This is actually really sweet. Normalize boys being in love with love. The top comment with nearly 220,000 likes read. Meanwhile, the second most liked comment reads, "Boy was a Wattpad legend." I don't know what Wattpad is, but there you go. And what a cute thing. I mean, I will tell you, like I said, my youngest, most feral is like, girls are weird. They talk too much. They don't understand video games. And, they're just boring. In a move that only Sarah Boone could understand, a man slit his girlfriend's wrist and left her body on the couch while he watched television before going to bed. It's not quite a suitcase, it's even worse. I don't know how you could just sit there and watch television. Maybe Sarah Boone will do a thesis about it. A 49-year-old man in California is accused of unaliving his girlfriend, strangling her, slitting her wrists, only to leave her bloody body on the couch while he finished watching TV before going to sleep. Daniel Allen Aldrich was taken into custody last week and charged with one felony count of murder and one felony enhancement for the personal use of a weapon in the slaying of 38-year-old Julie Ann Centrea. According to news release from Orange County District Attorney's Office, prosecutors allege that on the evening of Sunday, October 20th, 2024, Aldridge and Centera spent the night drinking and were at their home on Maple Avenue when they got into an argument. The squabble escalated and became physical, culminating with Aldridge strangling, his girlfriend, then slitting her wrists with a folding knife, prosecutors said. Aldrich is accused of leaving her body on the couch while he watched TV before going to bed, the release states. The next day, Aldrich is accused of dragging her body outside and stuffing her body inside a trash can on the side of the house. After disposing of Centra's body, Aldrich allegedly went back inside, packed a travel bag, then drove to his mother's home in Glendale, California, which is about 65 miles northwest of his home in Costa Mesa. On October 22nd, a group of landscapers hired to mow the lawn at Aldrich's home discovered the body partially outside of a trash can when they arrived and promptly called Costa Mesa Police Department. Now, the call was placed around 2:27 p.m. Authorities learned that Aldrich was at his mother's home, which was where he was arrested by detectives from Costa Mesa. If he is convicted on all the aforementioned crimes, he will face a maximum sentence of 26 years to life in a state correctional facility. Julie Centera did not deserve to be strangled and stuffed into a trash can like a piece of garbage, Orange County District Attorney Todd Spitzer said in a statement. The callousness of this crime shocks the conscience. We will do everything to get justice for Julia and her loved ones. Aldrich is being held in Orange County on a bond of $1 million. He is currently scheduled to appear for his arraignment on November 19th, 2024. I do see this maybe becoming a case that will be pretty big just because of the romantic kind of DV angle and the pure callousness of just sitting there with a body, throwing it out like trash. I do try to bring you guys stories that I think will eventually show up on Trial Watch, but this one has it has the callousness, it has kind of the WTF factor of how do you sit there and just watch TV that I think really hooked a lot of us on the Sarah Boone thing, like how do you just go up to bed? It's so out of any normal rationale that if he doesn't plea, I would be shocked, if this isn't a big trial that we watch. Now, in a Halloween flair, as a true crimer, I can tell you that mannequins make me seriously, uh, nervous because as we all know as true crimers, it is never a damn mannequin. You never find a mannequin. I am doing okay. I will say that we are probably getting a storm front in. Old, reliable, left leg is telling me that he will. It's definitely going to rain either today or tomorrow. So this creeps me out on an industrial level. I no, these are just creepy to me. A Japanese village struggling with low population creates life-size dolls to mimic the feeling of a bustling society. No, this is the start of a horror film where all those things become animated and unalive us all. A Japanese village struggling with low population created life-size dolls to mimic the feeling of a bustling society. In the hamlet of Inchinono, which has less than 60 residents and only one child, it's trying to fill the void with stuffed mannequins, which are dressed up and placed around the community and even pose on swings and bicycles. We're probably outnumbered by puppets, 88-year-old resident Haseyu Yamazaki told AFP. Yeah, no, you guys, this is nightmare fuel. I'm sorry. Like, I just no. Just no. Not for me. Yamazaki explained that although older inhabitants there had children, they encouraged them to attend college away from the tiny community about 1 hour northwest of Kyoto. We were afraid they were going to become unmarriageable if they remained stuck in a remote place like this. Out they all went and they never came back, getting jobs elsewhere. Now we're paying the price. No, it just continues. More freaking puppets. You guys, I am terrified. If the village is left as it is now, the only thing that awaits us is extinction. Ichiro Sayawama, 74, head of the governing body, told Japan Today. Prime Minister Ishiguro Ishibe, who was elected on October 1st, has vowed to build up rural areas, as Inichono is just one of more than 20,000 communities in Japan where most of the residents are 65 and above. So it has Japan does have the second oldest population in the world right after Monaco, which is something I did not know. But I mean, I get it if it lifts their spirits. I try not to, different things for different folks, but these things creep the hell out of me. And now because I have ADHD squirrel brain, we are going to click on this because I am intrigued. And I'm so glad to never need to date ever again. And I hope if you're out there in the dating world that things are going well. But let's see what happened on the shortest first day ever. It lasted 45 seconds. Mortifying. You can at least say, like, look, I just don't think we're a good fit. You don't have 45 seconds. That's just mean. A woman says the quote, shortest first day ever, end quote, which lasted 45 seconds, has made her delete all dating apps. Stop it, you stinky computer. Well, I mean, I would just delete dating apps altogether, but I'm married, so I really don't have any dating apps. Let's see here. Maggie Smith, 32, never imagined a candid TikTok video recounting her shortest dating experience would bring her internet fame. She met a man from a dating app outside the restaurant. He gave me a hug and said, "Are you hungry? Let's go inside." So I turned to walk in and he followed, she said. But then he asked her to step back outside, and what he said next stunned her. He said, quote, "I'm sorry, but I'm just not feeling it." The interaction lasted no more than 45 seconds, leaving Maggie in a daze as she walked back to her car. The whole thing was mortifying. She said, "I just went into autopilot and said, okay, and walked to my car. It was like flight or fight mode. I just had to get out of there." Later, a friend convinced Maggie to share her story on TikTok, and what started as a simple Snapchat to her friend quickly resonated with thousands of people. 15.5 million views later, she said she received many messages of support. Others cruelly accused her of catfishing or defended the man for leaving. Now, I can see this from both sides. And, you know, props on the man. The man could have been much nicer, but at least he didn't give her, false hope that there was something going there. And she built up this like emotional sort of, when you do it, ladies, and we're dating and you do that little flash forward thing, like, okay, am I really going to, marry a man who eats a salad like that or things like that? You just have that kind of thing. And women do it also. He could have just, sat for the dinner and given her a chance, which I don't get why he didn't, but it does kind of call into question that sometimes women do catfish and do, change their appearance quite regularly. I mean, poor Mr. Mo, he never knows who he's coming home to because I've got all these wigs and he wants me to burn the yellow one that I had on last night. So, it could be a multifactorial. The night before, the man told her he admired her for her personality, intelligence, drive, and thought she was beautiful. So when Maggie woke up the next morning, her phone was flooded with notifications. Overwhelmingly, the reactions I got were positive. I didn't want to look at the comments at first because I was kind of terrified of the internet, but my friends encouraged me. There were a lot of comments of people sharing their own experiences, which was encouraging. Though not all of the comments were supportive, some accused her of catfishing, which prompted her to post her dating profile. I've always been very honest about what I look like, so I didn't catfish him. The responses opened up a broader discussion about dating and the tendency for people to judge people quickly. In our dating in 2024, the way the apps are designed, it makes it so easy to make a split-second decision. We think our time is more valuable than the other person's. So I will tell you guys this, if you are looking at dating, if you are a youngish person watching this, although you better be over the age restriction because these are not, kiddo channels, or I'm not a kiddo channel. What I will say is what you find attractive changes over the years. It absolutely changes. And, when I was young and before I got married to my first husband, would I have ever even considered Mr. Mo? Probably not. He's a little too loud. He's a little too boisterous. He's a little too peoply. I probably would have said, just swipe whichever way you're supposed to swipe off. I have no idea. But as I got older and, learned to find different things attractive, dependability, hard work, loyalty, sacrificing for your family. You begin to see people a lot differently, I feel, when you're older. I mean, and I wasn't too much older. I was 26, but I had been through some things, and you definitely start finding a lot of different things attractive. So if you're not finding luck right now, there is someone out there that, you are going to be, the bee's knees to. And it sucks, unfortunately, that sometimes it takes a lot of looking through duds to find it. But I hope that, we all eventually find our person, whoever they may be, and find some happiness because that's what this life is all about, is having a partner who annoys you. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all though, okay, there is the honeymoon phase, and then there is the phase where it's like, "Look, I love you, but I don't like you right now, but we will stay married because I am not gonna start dating again." Like, you will have those moments. So, you know, having a person that you can be irritated with, but still wanna stick in for the long haul is really, a struggle, but it's definitely there. And, I did not know this was a talent, but I am gonna try to challenge this damn record now. So, an Idaho man has broken the world record for sorting peanut M&Ms. I think I could challenge this. I think we finally found my sport. An Idaho man put his color coding skills to the test and broke the world record by sorting 17.6 ounces of M&M peanuts by color in 57.78 seconds. David Rush, who holds the most concurrent Guinness World Record titles, previously set the peanut M&M sorting record at 1 minute and 14 seconds, but his title was later taken away by someone who managed the task in 2 seconds faster. Rush said he was determined to break the record by completing the color sorting in under a minute. I mean, goals are goals, I guess. My journey was filled with hilarious obstacles, like my daughter adding water to my M&Ms and my son taking the supplies and making them magically disappear, leading to multiple trips to the store, but I persevered. Rush was able to recapture the record, exceeding his personal goal by sorting them in, 57 seconds. I don't know why that's a giant thing. Now, in another story that I think, definitely if the civil suit, is streamed, I think this is going to be a huge trial. The family of a woman who mysteriously died on a Cabo vacation is suing her 6 traveling companions. Shanquella Robinson's family, through this lawsuit, seeks compensatory and punitive damages to address the profound emotional and financial toll this incident has caused, stated attorney Sue Ann Robinson in a news release. Uh, Shanquella Robinson mysteriously died 2 years ago while on a vacation with her 6 traveling companions, known as the Cabo Six. She died a day after arriving at their villa in Cabo San Lucas. The 6 people she went to Cabo with said she died of alcohol poisoning, but authorities said Robinson died of a broken neck. Shortly after her death, a video began circulating that showed a woman beating her. In the lawsuit, Shaquinella's family said the 6 people on the trip with her never told the doctor about the attack. They said the Cabo Six repeatedly refused a doctor's request to take her to a hospital. Nobody was charged. Now the family of Shaquinella Robinson hopes to do what law enforcement would not. The family continues to call for the arrest and extradition of Dehanje Jackson, who is wanted in Mexico for femicide, Sue Ann Robertson states. Her mother is suing the Cabo Six, alleging multiple counts of wrongful death, battery, negligence, conspiracy, and emotional distress. The lawsuit also names the U.S. Department of State and FBI as defendants. This lawsuit is not just about seeking justice for Shaquinella, and I may be mispronouncing this young woman's name, and I don't mean to. Blame the Midwestie in me. It's all about holding accountable those who are entrusted with the duty to investigate, act, and protect the interest of U.S. citizens abroad, Sue Ann Robertson said. The heartbreaking details of her death and subsequent mishandling by federal authorities only added to the family's grief, and they deserve both full transparency and justice. The suit says that Shaquinella's mother, Salamandra Robertson, experienced anxiety, depression, and other mental distress after her daughter's death, which is completely understandable. I can imagine losing your child and to have, such mystery and conspiracy and sort of internet speculation all around it. Oh, Shanquella, thank you. Thank you. I wish they would do phonetic spellings in these for some of the names because I never wanna disrespect anyone, by mispronouncing their names, but sometimes I need phonetics. The Robinson family is suing for compensatory and punitive damages. So I expect that should this move forward, should they be found to have standing, that this is going to be a very big trial. There are still a lot of questions about this. I didn't dig into this case deeply, but I remember when it happened, there were a lot of questions, a lot of lack of transparency, a lot of obfuscation and different stories and things like that. So I do think that this is going to be something that people are going to be very, very interested in because it's just like why we're so interested in the Karen Reed case, in the Delphi case, in, the Koberger case. No one wants to see an injustice go unpunished. No one wants to see, a family suffering because they don't have answers. Now, on housekeeping notes, I am listening and slowly catching up to the Delphi case. I did skip ahead and listen to Andrea Burkhart's kind of recounting of the confession and some of the conditions that Richard Allen was in, both mentally and physically in the jail. And, I would suggest that you give her lawyer Lee defense diaries, give that a listen. Let's get this case out there. Unfortunately and sadly, having looked at things, Abby and Libby and real justice for them is getting left behind in, lack of transparency in a jaded and state heavy judge. And it really is heartbreaking for those of us who have watched this case from the beginning and really hoped for the families and really for all of us that we would be able to, find out who did this and really get justice for these girls. But that doesn't seem to be happening right now, and it really is quite upsetting. I will tell you that Andrea's stream last night was about 6 hours. I listened to it on 1.75 speed. She doesn't sound like a chipmunk. Uh, what is it I was gonna say? But it is distressing. I mean, it's not as distressing as when the defense is going to show, the actually, kind of videos of when he's losing his grip on sanity, which I do expect will come out in the defense's case in chief. But those are some things that I am working on. I'm trying to look at all the notes and get everything together to kind of do some streams on this and get with Nick. And if for those of you who didn't see it, Petty Ann, the moral hornicorn, is coming along. She's got our little logo on and she is going to be bedazzled. I might make her wings. You know, Mr. Mo is like, "You're incredibly proud of yourself, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yes, I am." Because of course I'm incredibly proud of myself. Can I tell you guys though that bedazzling stuff is a pain in the right buttock. I mean, because if you don't have steady hands and then you're trying to glue things on and then you get glue stuck to your fingers, it is I am not maybe the most organized and thoughtful person, so I definitely covered most of my hand in glue. But that is the newsy news this morning. Welcome, Shizzy Raiders. Let me see who is going and where we can send you this morning because I to run to do groceries while I'm listening to more Delphi stuff because this family likes to eat. And as I've said before, we live in a neighborhood that people generally think we're a little bit what better off than everyone else, which is fine. We lucked out and got into this really cool, neighborhood. But I always feel bad when we run out of candy. So I will be, going out to buy more candy, though Mr. Mo, doesn't know how much we've already spent on candy. But I always feel like, if a couple of pieces of candy can, help some little kid have a better night. There are a lot of kids in our town that maybe don't have a lot, and especially with this economy, I am willing to go out and spend some of my fun money on candy to make sure that every kid that comes around will get some and, have a good evening. But I will see you guys. I am going to Aldi's, so maybe they'll have the wine advent calendar out because this year, no mom guilt is going to keep me from buying it. I am getting the wine advent calendar. And for those of you who participated on the poll in my community section, I did order the Sailor Moon advent calendar, but now I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many advent calendars out there. So I'm having to rein myself into just one additional one, and I don't know if I'm going to pick the Star Wars one, the Harry Potter one, or something completely different, which, I need anything more than a bunch of more little tchotchkes I put everywhere. Anywho, so I am sending you to Baker. Baker is not going to be on until 10. There's not really anyone else on right now. So be sure, I think Baker said uh, he was going to be court hopping. Sorry, I was trying to remember what the title was, and I was like, it's in a little box. And I will be working today on kind of making things more logical and put together, not so much chaos demon D on Discord. So I will be working on that along with everything else. And don't forget another housekeeping thing. Wednesday nights, I have date night with Mr. Mo. I do think that I am going to make him take me out to chips and salsa and a margarita uh, for emotional support reasons. But, if there's nothing brings you together with your loved one like spilling salsa right on the boobular area. Thank you so much, Zach. I am working hard at trying to be less retaining Mike and Ike's and more eating, protein and real food. Though Mike and Ike's are still awesome, so, in moderation. Have a lovely day, you guys. I will see you. I'll probably put out some little newsy news nuggets throughout the day. Oh, Puddletown, I was telling you that Mr. Mo and I love to go out to a Mexican restaurant on date night, and I seem to have the unfortunate, just ability to drop salsa all on the, health and safety boobular area. Just never worked. Never works for me. Awesome job, JKD Buck. Hopefully I will be spinning up, Fluffy to Fit again. I just, tried to expand too quickly. I always have a lot of, ideas, but I always underestimate my time and the commitment it takes to do all the ideas. So, I will see you guys in a little bit. Have a lovely day. And, just be kind to yourself, be kind to others. But if people are butt monkeys, screw them because you have a tribe here. Bye, you guys.